All right, so I think everything's working now. We have it recording, and I've got my screen shared. So, hello everybody, I'm Chip Brown, and today we begin our journey of this mod working on our portfolios. And I think that you probably have had a class that was a print portfolio in the past, and I don't remember the exact number of that class, but how many of you have had that class? And in that class, did you do a print portfolio, and did you also do a an online portfolio? I think Craig Stokes has been a teacher for that class. What was the name of your teacher when you took that class? Everybody should have taken that class. Some of you may have taken that class during the associates program. Yeah, Behance is where you did your, so Behance is where you did your portfolio. Okay, in the creation of your portfolio at Behance, did you, can you paste a link to your portfolios? And when you did that portfolio, I don't think that you had to do any creation of the website. I think you probably just plugged in your portfolio there. And did you use just the sample site, the free one, or did you upgrade to a professional site? Well, while you're looking for that, let's talk about this class. So in that portfolio class, you uploaded content to an existing website for portfolios. So which do you think? There's some pros and cons to taking advantage of an online portfolio website. Obviously, you become searchable in that website. It's all the programming is done for you. So is there really a need for having a custom web portfolio website where you have coded it? That's the question of this class. The current belief is, yes, you do need to have a custom portfolio website. This is Lisa's website. Okay. So, I haven't, I have my own Behance.net website, but I haven't taken that class. There's mine. We haven't coordinated in the curriculum. I haven't taken the class, but I do have my own website also there on Behance. But this class is focused on presenting work to potential clients via the internet. So here's a question for you. Can you fulfill this using the Behance website, presenting work to potential clients via the internet? Yes or no? What would you say? Does the Behance website have all that we need? Is it a good thing to put our portfolio on these websites that are already built for managing portfolios. What's your opinion on that question? How do we know whether or not employers have an opinion on whether or not the website that we put our portfolio on is custom created, or whether or not it's just uploaded to websites, existing portfolio websites such as Behance? We can go on here with the course description. Emphasis is placed on identifying strengths and weaknesses as designers and selecting works that best showcase an individual designer's talents. So that's a typical criteria you would go through a selection process when you ferret out what you want to share and include what you want to share and leave out what you don't want to share. That's a typical process for creating a portfolio. Students will be required to create an HTML-based web portfolio site. That right there really answers the question as to whether or not the purpose of this this particular class is to not have just an portfolio website like Behance, but actually to design and create our own, present to potential clients or employers. That right there answers the question in this class. But you still have to ask the question. Hello, Juri, welcome. Right now, Juri, we're having the conversation about this course versus the previous course in online web portfolio. ES 305. Previous course, I can't remember the number of that class, but it too was a I just realized can you mute yourself, Juri?
There is no more Levi's. What?
Mute. There you go, you got it. So the class, let's see. There is a, trying to figure out the name of the class that you took before. I'm not sure where I have a copy of the course. Let's go look at the catalog and see what class that was. portfolio design is $250. And Jeree, have you taken? You probably have taken that portfolio design class. This course focuses on preparing the student's portfolio in preparation for employment. The course culminates in a professional digital and print portfolio. Now, did you take it from Craig Stokes, and did you create a portfolio in Behance? And who did you take it from, and what did you create in that class? Well, okay. So we're trying to figure out whether or not the industry employers care whether or not our website is in Behance or custom design. I actually have here a conversation I'm having with somebody who is in the industry right now. And let's ask this professional. His name is Joshua. Actually, he works for Microsoft. And he has hired several several individuals. And let's just ask him his opinion. I was going to invite him to class tonight, but I wasn't able to connect in time, and so we'll just ask him. I'm asking him that question. We'll see what he has to say. Another thing we can do is go to a website, for example, Indeed.com. The question we're trying to figure out is, do employers care, and how do they respond to portfolios? And so let's look at a couple job descriptions here. Submit an electronic portfolio, 10 gigabytes or less, or a link to your portfolio showing artwork. Okay, what is your interpretation of this? Submit an electronic portfolio, 10 gigabytes or less, or a link to your portfolio showing artwork. What does that mean? Can everybody answer? Type your answer in the chat box. What does it mean to submit an electronic portfolio, 10 gigabytes or less? What does that mean? Everybody needs to answer if you would. If you don't know what that means, just put a question mark. Would you say that it's a single document or is it many documents? And would you say that those documents would be, what file format would you think that the electronic portfolio would be provided in? Would it be graphical images or would it be web pages? Would it be mini documents, electronic documents? Would it be a single? How about a PDF? Do you know what a PDF is? How about a single PDF? Yes, Adobe PDF. If you wanted to create an electronic portfolio, which is downloadable, 10 gigabytes or less, how would you give that portfolio, a 10 gigabyte portfolio, to an employer? How would you do that? You couldn't send it as a PDF attachment because there's an email attachment, it's too big. Could you send them a thumb drive with your portfolio on it? If you were applying for this job, would you physically bring the portfolio on a thumb drive to them? Would you email it, or excuse me, would you mail it to them, a thumb drive with your portfolio on it? How about creating a DVD? How much room can a DVD hold? I think a CD takes like 7 gigabytes. A DVD, look at that, each DVD, 4.7 gigabytes. It's a DVD, 4.7 gigabytes. So if you wanted more than 4.5 gigabytes on a DVD, the dual layer is 9.4 gigabytes. So could you put it on a DVD and send it to them? 4.7, probably typical. You could send them your portfolio. You know, if it's that large, it's usually containing movie files or large graphical images. By the way, I got an answer. The answer from our expert. I call him our expert because he actually he's in user interface design and he has hired many individuals. He's looked at thousands of portfolios. His answer is a portfolio is a portfolio. It doesn't matter where it's at. However, for web designer developers, it's best to show their skills on their own site and not use template sites or whatever, but Behance is fine. So if you're going to become a web developer or apply for web designer positions, then it's important that you create your own custom website. Now, that's what this class is about. Now, it doesn't mean that everybody's going to become and wants to apply to be a web designer, but its purpose of this class is to help you create that custom website. So back to this. Link to your portfolio showing artwork. So what this means, a link to the portfolio, what does that mean? Does that mean a web page or website? Does it mean a Could it be a link to the Behance.net portfolio link, kind of like I pasted my link? Let's look at a couple other jobs that come up here that have the word portfolio in it. Current and review ready portfolio. What program would you use to manage and maintain your portfolio ready for PDF output? Would you manage it in Adobe Photoshop, or Adobe Illustrator, or InDesign perhaps? So I'm clicking on various job descriptions here to see whether or not they are specific. If we can really gather from them, must display a strong concept-driven portfolio and exhibit a solid understanding of design principles. If you were to, what does that mean to you, the concept-driven portfolio? Concept-driven portfolio, I think what that means is that there's like a theme to the work, that there's an organization and an order, that the work is obviously the creation of or the result of concepts. How about this? Design principles. What design principles do you think that you're needing to convey in your courses up to this point? If you were to list the design principles that you feel you need to convey in your portfolio, what might they be? What design principles might come to bear with that you can describe? Okay, resume and a link to the portfolio, both. Some students wonder if they create some work in school, should it be part of our portfolio? What do you think of that question? Or another question is, if I create some work for a customer, can I take that and put it in my portfolio because the customer actually paid for it? Do I have the right to show off the work that I've done for a customer who's paid for it and make it part of my portfolio? What do you think of that question? See here, please attach or link to your portfolio when applying. So they think electronic or link. Strong portfolio that demonstrates expertise in app design, presentation design, graphic design, color, and typography. I like those. I'm going to keep them. Yes, now if somebody pays you to keep some notes here on some good phraseology in these. if somebody pays you to do some work for them, who owns that work? They do. Now, when they pay for it, they own it. You created it, but technically, they retain ownership of that which you create. Do you agree? Do you agree with that? Do you believe that? If somebody pays you to create something, do you own it or do they own it? What's your opinion of that? So that's debatable. Do you retain the copyright of that which you create? Let's say you worked for an employer and you created things for that employer, and he paid you, or he or she paid you to create those things. Who owns that which you've created? You or your employer who paid you? The fact is, that which you created, when you were paid to create it, belongs to the person who paid you for it. That's the exchange. You created it, they paid you, and you actually sold it to them. Now, is that really the full model? What about now with movies or software or anything that you can get a copy of? Um, the agreement with a movie producer is that you don't own the movie. They retain ownership of the movie. You pay them not to buy the movie, but you pay them for the right to watch the movie, or you pay for the right to listen to the music. So it's a slightly different relationship between the creator of content and the user of that content. See, when you're working for an employer, you're creating content that they own. Now, if you created something on your own, and then the person came to you and said, I would like to use that. In other words, you funded it, you funded the creation of it, and they want to use it, then you're in a position to retain the copyright and then lease it to them, or license it to them, or let them take a copy of it for, you retain the ownership. Are you starting to see the differences between the relationship between an employer versus when you own something outright? You've financed the creation of it. What I'd like to do is filter on some of the more expensive. See, these are the income. Let's filter on the most expensive one. And let's see what they have to say. Behance. Here's a job opening that's right there on the Behance website. Now there's a bunch of job titles over here. And I just got some more information from our resident expert, and his response is, it's more important that it accurately reflect that person's skills. Well, that's an interesting response, because that is exactly what week 1 is about. He couldn't have timed that better. We are going to do a self-assessment in this week 1. By the way, everybody should be able to access the e-textbook. Click on the link and it should come up here. So here in this week, we're going to focus on the content in these 4 chapters. And you can see here the processes of soul searching, adapting your content, creating your own projects, partnering. How do you first determine what your strength is, and then isolate that and show it off? So let's talk about the professions. Of the professions that you see listed here, I just typed in graphic designer. Let's take off the and for now I'm going to remove the portfolio. And now let's look at the list of job titles. Now here's the list of job titles. I'll copy and paste them into our chat. Now look through that list and tell me which of these appeal to you. In fact, what I can do is go to the discussion. By the way, I think it's gonna come up here, the introduction. So go ahead and introduce yourself there. Thank you, Roy, and there's Jerry. Oh, I think it's Jerry. Just now realized I was accenting the wrong syllable. Jerry is correct? Okay. So do I need an online portfolio? That's our discussion. And if you click here, you'll see the list of graphic designer jobs. Let me take off designer and just look at graphic design. And here is a list of job titles that come up. Now what I'd like you to do is look through that list and tell me if there are any particular ones that you are favoring over another. Go ahead and type in what you favor, which job title is what you're really aiming for. Go ahead and you can type, you can see it there in the chat. Look it over, and why don't you type in what your preferred job title is. By the way, I believe that you can focus or filter on internship right here. So if you click internship, this gives you a list of internships. The graphic design, but filtered by internship, right? Down there, I think I just did internship. I'll undo that for now. If you're wanting to go to work for an employer, then you would filter on full-time right here. This is typical. Typically, this means you're going to work for the employer. Contract means you will probably retain being your independent contractor, and you won't be an employee. This one is an employee. You would be receiving like a W-2 at the end of the year. And you have benefits. This one, contract, typically means you're not going to be an employee. You don't get benefits from the company. You're just on contract. It's like a company-to-company arrangement. Part-time, obviously, is you're working part-time internship, you know what that is. Temporary is similar to contract in that temporary has a time frame constraint on it. Contract doesn't have a contract. Contract doesn't have the time constraint on it necessarily. Contract typically means we're not going to bring you on as an employee, but we are going to have a relationship with you as a worker. And sometimes you can belong to another contracting company and be working for on site at another employer's location and be a contractor. So that's that commission. I guess that's interesting. That means that you aren't guaranteed an hourly rate or a salary. Here you have a salary. Here you would be paid by the hour. This is also paid by the hour. This probably either way. Temporary is probably either way, project-based or hourly-based. Commission means it's not project-based, not hourly-based, but you get a percentage of whatever you create, whatever income it creates for the other provider or whoever's trying to get you to do work for them. You get paid a commission of what they earn from the work that you create. So they have the marketing ability of whatever you create, and you would get a commission. So of these here, those jobs and this situation, what is most appealing to you? Let's just look at the companies that are hiring here. So let me go down this list and point this out. Unlisted company, Xerox, that's a large company. Creative Group, large. Cybercoders, this is a contracting company, and they're looking for people to hire in order to then take you and put you at another company. And they are a contracting company, and they find individuals who want to be contractors. You become sometimes a W-2 employee, full-time employee of the contracting company, and then in turn they turn around and sell you, quote unquote, to your services, I should say, to another company. And when that company's done, you retain your relationship with the contracting company, and then they take you and put you elsewhere. And so that's a contracting company, and that's Cybercoders there. Acme and Staffing, same thing. Tech Systems, same thing. These are contracting companies. Microsoft, that's probably full-time. They're not looking to have a contract relationship with you. Then instead, if it's a company that creates something, then they're looking for full-time people. Whereas if it's a contracting company, they're looking for contractors that and then take them and sell their services to other companies. So sometimes companies like hiring contractors because it's very easy to let them go, for one thing. Number two, they aren't bound to them, because when you hire an employee, the business, the company, is sometimes legally obligated to you. They can't let you go easily because they have to go through a process, or else they risk themselves being sued by the employee. So that's why they like the contractor relationship, because if something doesn't work out, they can instantly call up the contracting company and say, hey, Joe dude that you've placed at our company isn't working out. And literally overnight, the contracting company will pull that individual from the employer and then maybe send another in his place or her place. So of what I'm explaining to you, can you tell me on a scale of 1 to 5 how much of it's making sense? How much of it, if it's 5 means if you're totally getting everything I'm talking about, it makes sense. Number 1 means I've lost you. I've just I'm talking in the air and talking in the sky, and what I'm talking about doesn't make sense. And you don't have enough to relate to it. So I'd like to know, give me a number of 1 to 5. 5 means totally get what you're saying. 1 means you lost me a long time ago. And I'm not blaming you. I'm really just trying to see how I'm doing. All right. So part of what I'm talking about you can relate to. Another part you can't, which I totally understand. So I'm glad that I'm not totally talking past you and that you're retaining some of what I'm talking about. So here's the job descriptions, job titles. This is how much they make. Our program has people who are doing graphic design or people doing web design. We actually also have information design in our program. And when you click on these links, go ahead and look over here at the various job titles. I'd like you to focus on those, figure out which ones appeal to you, and realize that there might be stepping stones. Like the first couple of years of your career, you might focus on one. Next couple of years, you step up from that. You start out perhaps as an intern, and then you step up from that to a director, or no, sorry, just a full-blown team member, and then year after year after year, you can like go up the ladder of jobs. All right, so does that help you on this question, whether or not you need an online portfolio? Have I discussed that enough? And if so, let's just call it an evening for now. And if there are any questions, feel free to ask them. Tomorrow night, we'll go over any questions, and then we'll move on to the assignment. We'll go over this tomorrow. If you don't have any questions, let's just call it a night. Thank you very much for attending. I appreciate everybody. Jeree, are you good? We'll call it a night. Okay, have a good evening.